are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, it's like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it's the New York Knicks podcast, episode 395, which is also the Knicks' projected win percentage. We are part of the Almighty Baller podcast network. I am Jay, and with me is Mark. How you doing, Mark?
Good. How you doing?
I am doing lovely.
I have to say, the more I've thought about the season, the more excited I am. And I know I am I am usually very negative, but I actually am very optimistic about the season. The Knicks might be horrible and get a high draft pick. I think this team is going to be very fun to watch, and I think they're going to be better than we think.
Yeah, this is such a refreshment because it's like if they're really bad, we get a good draft pick, and they're probably going to be fun to watch anyway. And then if they're surprisingly good, then we get to see a playoff team.
Did you know also in the offseason the Knicks got Kyrie Irving?
Oh, did they?
The thing is, it was one of those trading places moments, or switcheroo things, because Raymond Sessions has confirmed that Frank Ntilikina is Kyrie Irving.
Oh, okay.
So we're good on that now. Now we have Kyrie Irving, so we're good.
So it was like the NBA version of Freaky Friday?
Yeah, exactly. Sessions said he felt like he played with a young Kyrie, and said he's not quite as athletic, but he thought Ntilikina kind of reminds him in some way. He didn't explain exactly how, but that he kind of reminds him of a Kyrie. Maybe something about finishing at the basket. Also, he's impressed with Ntilikina's ability to finish at the basket. And the Knicks had a Knicks scrimmage today, and basically the word out of the scrimmage today was that from people that watched, that everyone thought Ntilikina looked really good.
This is fantastic news.
Yes. So I don't know. I wish Sessions didn't say Kyrie Irving because immediately you're gonna have some jokes. You're gonna be like, this guy's obviously not gonna be as good as Kyrie Irving. At the same time, what I like hearing is that everyone that's been watching him is very impressed by him, and so maybe we will be impressed by him as well.
I hope so. I mean, I haven't seen pretty much anything yet, so I'm looking forward to it. Preseason starts tomorrow.
You're wrong.
It doesn't?
Tuesday. Yes, they play the New Jersey Brooklyn Nets, and I think their second preseason game is against an actual NBA team. Are you optimistic about this team? Are you excited?
I am. I mean, I'm not expecting them, like conference finals or anything, but I think there's potential. And the good thing is everyone's young, and there's a lot of short-term contracts. So, like, this team can, there's room for re-signing players, and this team can actually stick around if players work out.
Well, so let's do a little game where we talk about, we're going to go through the best-case scenario for the Knicks and go back and forth on positive things that could happen this season if everything goes right.
Okay.
I'm going to start off. Ntilikina develops really fast, ends up being NBA starter level in his first year, and ends up being above average on defense and probably average to slightly below average on offense initially to start for his first NBA season, which would be a good initial step in the NBA. Okay, he becomes an average level offense and above average defense, and we're very pleased with his initial performance in the NBA.
Okay. Cantor has lost weight, so that results in a vast improvement on defense, which means
more agile on defense. I like that.
Yeah, which means he's officially a two-way player, and I mean, if he played good defense, he would be a borderline all-star.
Yeah. Porzingis, he takes that next level. He becomes almost unstoppable on offense at times. Fills the vacuum that was left by Melo. Starts averaging 27 a game. eight rebounds a game, a couple and 2 blocks a game, and we're all erect with excitement.
Tim Hardaway Jr. Continues the leap he took in Atlanta, and we're not angry to have him on the team.
Hernan Gomez, under the tutelage of Enes Kanter, and his new two-way game, also develops even more so on offense and starts developing his own defensive presence and becomes a two-way player himself.
Noah feels massive amount of guilt for robbing the Knicks and retires.
Melo, Westbrook, and Paul George at one point during an NBA game literally roll on the floor fighting for a basketball.
Did you see somebody sent us there's a screenshot of NBA 2K and Westbrook is scowling at Melo, and somebody wrote Westbrook's already mad at Melo for hogging the ball.
What else? We trade Courtney Lee for a first round pick.
I mean, McDermott could find his way in the NBA.
Becomes a lethal guy off the bench.
Yeah.
3-point threat off the bench. I think that's reasonable. He's a hell of a 3-point shooter. He also gets a clue on defense.
Yeah.
Jarrett Jack and Ramon Sessions combined to be a solid influence on the young Frenchie, and also a solid influence in this team, and helps lead this team to the 5th seed in the playoffs. Because I can't really even in good conscience pretend they're going to do better than that.
No, definitely not.
Anything else you want to add to this? Because I think we're going to do the worst case scenario also.
There's a lot more ball movement with the new offense they've installed and the new point guards.
They mastered the triangle in Phil's absence.
That would be funny.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Going the other way, the reverse. Worst case scenarios. The Knicks, big heavy the Knicks top 4 players in minutes per game end up being Noah, Lance Thomas, Jack, and Sessions. As Hornets will only play the veterans.
Oh, I thought you were going to mean that was a veiled way of saying everybody gets injured.
After I said it, I thought I was going to make that joke next, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, injuries is obviously a big one. Ntilikina is not ready, and Sessions and Jack are too old, and once again we have a horrible, horrible point guard lineup.
Enes Kanter is so good on defense that he makes Hernan Gomez look like Tim Duncan out there.
Noah does not retire. Okay.
See. Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
So
the Knicks trade their first round pick this year to get Melo back.
If you're a new listener, don't get used to all this positivity. If you're an old listener, you're probably shocked at all the positivity.
We always start the year off being very positive, I feel like. We try to. Last year, we were faking it because we just didn't see, it just seemed absurd to be positive about getting Noah and Rose. But
yeah, I mean, people say we're too negative, so we try to feign enthusiasm. And, I mean...
What are you looking for in the preseason opener against the Nets? What do you want to see out of this team?
I want to see ball movement. I want to see effort. I don't care if they lose. I just want to see effort.
I want to get some sense of who will the starters be. We don't have to figure it out right away, but I would like to get a sense from the faster we can get a sense of who the rotation players are and starters, the better, basically.
Yeah, I don't want to have a different starting lineup every game of the season, going in 20 games like we've done in the past.
I feel like the Knicks have a lot of new players, and then there's a risk, basically, of like being 20 different starting lineups in 20 games, basically, and a rotation that's 12 guys deep because we can't figure out who the hell can like separate themselves on the bench.
Right.
Do you think? Do you think Kuz is gonna have much of a role in the team this year?
No, I think Kuz and O'Quinn are odd men out. Even though Kuz looked good in the World Bowl or whatever the hell that league was.
I feel like I do think Kuz is the odds man out because I think his defense is also horrible, and that's going to kill him. And he's not that great on offense either, but maybe he'll step up. He's a little bit older too. I feel like Cock could still have a decent role in this team, depending on what Noah does. If Noah, well, first of all, Noah's going to be out for the first 10 games, and so that will leave a room for Cock to play. And then when Noah comes back, if he's injured right away, which is a strong possibility, then I can see Cock having a big role there.
Yeah.
I see also, and I think Hornacek's going to give Noah, when he does come back, like a lot of room to like, he's going to basically give him a lot of chances. But at some point, if Noah really looks like if Noah looks like he's played the last 2 years, at some point Hornacek's going to have to like cannot put him on the court anymore.
Yes, he's just gonna have to bench him.
Yeah, which will be but I mean maybe Noah will look better. Who the hell knows? Gotta hope he'll look better.
Yeah.
But I'd like to also see them. I would like to see Frenchie. I'm dying to see Frenchie play because we have not seen Frenchie in a real game.
And it's a good first game to play. If you're gonna try out a bunch of new players with new rotations, you might as well play a complete trash team.
Yes, New Jersey Nets. I mean Brooklyn Nets. Where trash goes to play like trash.
They're
do
still
you want to do
Jersey.
it? What do you say?
They're still Jersey. The Brooklyn Nets of New Jersey.
I wish that the Swamp Dragons had caught on. You remember that?
Yeah.
That would have been great. Then the Nets tried to change their name to the Swamp Dragons at some point, which just sounds better for this team.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a little NBA preview?
Sure.
Cool.
So every season we try and predict where teams will finish in the standings.
And every year I've been 100% right, and Jay's been like terrible at this, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I always nail this. And you're like, oh my God, Mark, how did you know? I have to say I am really good at the end of the season looking at the standings and telling you what teams are in the playoffs.
You are a pro at that.
Yeah, I can nail it. But when is do you want to say any of we're Almighty Baller Podcast Network. We have a fantasy draft coming up.
We do. It's October 14th. It is full. I upped the teams from 12 to 14, and it's still filled up. So sorry to those of you who couldn't get in.
Why don't you up it to 20 teams?
Yeah, you want to do a 7-hour podcast next Saturday? Sorry for those of you who couldn't make the date. I know Victor's been in our league for a number of years and couldn't make it that day and wanted to join. But it's very hard trying to get everyone to agree on a day and a time. Yeah,
it's hard to coordinate everything. We have to also find times that works with our schedule, obviously. Sorry. We have a Patreon thing where you can podcast is expensive, and you can give money to us to make podcasting less expensive for us.
Yes,
right?
Yes. There is no charity. It goes to podcasting expenses.
You mean are there some people out there that claim their Patreon pages go to charity but refuse to mention what charity it is?
It's possible that is a scenario that has happened.
Is it possible that people that the charity is just kind of personal and they just won't tell you what? Okay, move on.
Patreon /NY Knicks podcast.
Is it true that if people pay $15 a month, you'll send them naked pictures of your girlfriend?
No, but for $10 a month, they could get a free shirt.
Okay.
So, patreon.com /NY Knicks podcast. We have an Instagram, which is NY Knicks podcast. We have a Twitter, which is NY Knicks podcast. We have an email, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. We have a Facebook /NY Knicks podcast. I made it very simple. Everything /NY Knicks podcast.
Okay.
iTunes reviews. If you like the show, I don't know, maybe retweet or, comment on Instagram or, get the word out there.
What if people want to leave you a voicemail or death threat?
631-676-1181 is our voicemail.
Okay. We're going to do a preview of the East and the West. We're going to do kind of fast, but kind of go through what team in the East will be the most surprising, do you think? Or will be make the biggest leap?
I would say probably the Bucks.
Ooh. They were pretty good last year, though. But they had like about 41, 42 victories? 43?
Yeah, I
something.
think they could actually maybe win a playoff series this year.
Okay. You're getting them. You think they're going to go to 50 wins?
No.
I'm going to say the Sixers are going to go into the playoffs.
So
I think the Sixers. I think
of the guys they've been drafting are actually healthy.
Everyone's supposed to be healthy. They have a pretty good looking team. I mean, obviously, I think everything's linked to Embiid more than anyone. But I feel like they're going to win. I feel like they're going to win 40 games. I think we're going to the process is going to start actually working out for them, which we've been making fun of for a long time. But let's do. You want to start from the top?
Yeah, sure.
First place in the East goes to Jay.
Celtics.
Ooh, hard to argue with that one. I'm going to say the Celtics, even though Celtics will not go to the finals. I will say I'll agree with the Celtics.
So
it's hard to. I mean, the thing with that team, they've turned over most of the roster. Do you feel like they're going to trip? That's going to trip them up at all, or the roster's just so good anyway?
The Celtics you're talking about?
They turned over the whole roster. I mean, they only have 4 guys from last year on the roster.
I think only 2. Is it 4?
I thought it was 4, but whatever.
That's still insane. Yeah.
Yeah, you turned over. I mean, like it's a whole different team from last year. And I know you have Kyrie Irving. I know you have Gordon Hayward. You have some good players, obviously. But are they? Can you just insert them back into like 55, 60 wins or 50? Not 60, maybe high 50s. They're going to dominate the East.
I think so. I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like Cleveland is. They're going to be good enough to go through the playoffs, but they're going to coast during the regular season because they're getting a little old.
You think? We didn't mention on the show the Cleveland's getting the band back together. Dwayne Wade joined the Cavaliers.
Yep, banana boat.
I mean, the Bulls could have just said, we were paying you anyway. I guess they got a discount by letting him go. They bought him out. But the Bulls are basically helping Cleveland go to the finals again.
Yeah.
You think is Wade going to make a difference there?
No. I
Really?
mean, a little bit, but I don't think he's not like a game changer.
No, I mean, I don't think they're going to beat Golden State, but I think he's going to be very helpful come playoff time. And he's going to get a lot of rest in this team because they don't need him as much.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big factor for Cleveland will be when does Isaiah Thomas come back?
Yeah, is he damaged goods now?
Yeah, I'm like, if he plays like he did last year, then like the trade will almost be like, it will be even basically as far as the players. Like him, because Kyrie, I feel like Kyrie and Isaiah, if Isaiah's healthy, they're about the same player as far as their offensive, like what they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I agree. So we both agree that Cleveland's number 2 on this. Or are you putting someone else above Cleveland?
No.
I still even Cleveland resting the East is going to be so horrible.
Yeah.
Who you got 3?
3, I got the Wizards.
I was going to say Raptors.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you think the Raptors are done?
Yeah.
They're still. Why do you think they're done?
Who was his name? Ibaka has gotten worse for like 4 straight years. Lowry's 32.
They still have Lowry though. They still have Lowry. They still have DeRozan. They still have the core basically.
That's it.
Yeah, no, that's true.
They have
but
like their bench got worse and their starters got older. Like I don't know.
Those are some solid arguments that you're making.
I don't like them.
I'll take Toronto at 3, Wizards at 4.
I'm going Bucks at 4, Raptors at 5.
Well, that's a solid argument. You're making some pretty good picks actually. Because Milwaukee. I'll take Milwaukee at 5, but they could really move up. You're right. I'm just gonna Milwaukee's at 5. Screw you.
6, I got Heat.
Oh yeah, the Heat. The Heat had horrible the first half and amazing the second half.
Mm-hmm. And pretty much kept the team.
Yeah, so you got to think they're not what they were, what they were in the first half. They're not quite what they were in the second half, but they're still a pretty darn good team.
Yeah.
They didn't make the playoffs. They just missed the playoffs. They have to go to the playoffs. Yeah, I guess the Heat at 6. That's fine with me. We on 6?
Yeah.
Okay, 7.
7, I have the Hornets.
This gets hard.
Yeah, it does.
I'm going to take it 7. The Sixers. This is my crazy pick. I'm buying into what they're building. I am buying into this team. They got Redick. They got some other guys. I feel like this team is going to be pretty interesting.
I mean, if they stay healthy, they will. I just don't see that.
Of course.
happen.
Why would you think they stay healthy? There's no reason to think they'll stay healthy because it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
They've literally not had none of these guys. The only one that's been healthy is what's his name? Who's the guy they drafted just now? The number 1 pick.
Oh, Fultz?
Fultz. He hasn't had a chance to be injured on the team. But
Right.
I'm sure, I don't know. I'm sure he's weird. I'm developing arthritis suddenly.
That being said, I'll go with the Sixers at 8.
Okay. And I'm going to go at 8. I guess Charlotte makes sense at 8. It really gets bad after 8.
It really is. I mean, the East is and even at 8, we're picking a team that's never healthy.
I guess at 9, I will take. Holy crap! This is just
I know. There's no good teams left.
There's nothing. Detroit?
I'm going Knicks at 9.
That'll be a nightmare, though. The Knicks at the 9 is just our worst case scenario for the year.
Yeah, wouldn't that be the Knicksiest finish ever?
Oh my god! And after I got through saying I'm pretty optimistic about the season, it's hard not to. I feel like that this. I mean, you look at the wasteland of Orlando and Indiana and the Bulls.
So who do you got? Pistons at 9?
I did Pistons at 9. I guess the Knicks at 10.
I'm gonna go for 10. The Pistons.
Okay, fine.
I have the Magic at 11.
Who do you have at 11?
Magic.
I'm gonna put the Bulls at 11. Not quite as bad as everyone expects.
Okay.
I'll take Orlando at. Who am I missing here? Orlando.
You got Brooklyn, Indiana, Atlanta.
Brooklyn, Indiana. Okay, Indiana. Brooklyn's the worst. I think Brooklyn's still a garbage pile.
Mm-hmm.
So 12, I say Indiana. 13, I say whoever's not Orlando, I guess, and then 14, Brooklyn.
14. No, 14. I guess would be for you Pacers.
No, okay, the Pacers. I'm gonna swap the Pacers and I just set fire to the bottom of the bracket. I guess okay. So 9 for me. This is harder than I thought. 9 is Pistons. 10 is Knicks. 11 is Pacers because they got Miles Turner. They got some hope there. 10 is
You just went backwards. Now you're at 12.
Oh, God.
You went 9, 10, 11, 10.
Do you know I have two small children that I'm supposed to teach how to count?
So you got Bulls at 12?
Oh my God. Bulls at 12, 13 Orlando, 14 Nets. I can't see how the Nets aren't going to be the worst record. I know people are saying all these things about the Nets.
So the Hawks are just out of the league?
Holy crap, I forgot about the Hawks. And they kind of look like they are. Oh
okay,
my
Hawks
God.
are 14.
Okay, 15 is the Nets. What did the Nets do? What did they do? They took on the Beast.
I have 9 for the Knicks, 10 Pistons, 11 Magic, 12 Pacers, 13 Nets, 14 Hawks, 15 Bulls.
Why are the Bulls going to be such trash? What does they have in this team?
Who's their best player?
Zach LaVine.
There you go. Guy coming off an ACL injury, best player on the team.
No, he's not the best player. I was joking. But the Bulls aren't kind of joking. Let me see what their roster is. They got
Meritek?
Holy crap, this roster's bad.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Robin Lopez is their best player, by the way. They got Meritek and Robin Lopez. Wow.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Okay, so they're 14. Let me see the Nets roster. Let me see this. I haven't looked at the Nets roster in a while. Where the freak is? Oh, Brooklyn.
And
Yeah.
Nets don't have much either.
I mean, their big hope is what's his name being good. They got Quincy Acey really on this team. They got Trevor Booker. They got Crabbe, which I think was a decent pickup. They got wow. They got Lynn, who should be healthy. D'Angelo Russell is what they're all banking on. Will D'Angelo Russell be garbage, or will his game get better? What do you think?
His game will get better, but I don't think he's going to be like, wow.
I mean, there's a long way between where he is now and wow.
Yeah.
And so getting better, he could still be garbage after getting better. He's been pretty awful in the league so far.
So this is almost the exact opposite of doing the East. The West, there's only 2 bad teams. So this is also really tough.
Okay, let me get back. Okay, let's go to the West. Okay.
I mean,
so
I got the Warriors at 1.
you think so? I had the Lakers at 1. They got Ball. I mean, they're.
After that, it's tough.
By the way, Ball in his first preseason game kind of blew. I didn't see the game. I just looked at the box scores. I have no idea if he really sucked, but his stats weren't very good. Okay, so one obviously is Golden State. 2, so
It gets tough immediately. I
the
mean,
Spurs. I feel like they're always in it. It's hard to bet against the Spurs at 2.
So you going Spurs at 2?
Yeah, I mean I don't think they're going to the finals, but they've got a good team. They play defense. They've pretty much the same roster back from last year.
I'm going Thunder at 2.
And Houston, and they added Chris Paul. And the more I think about it, I think we were saying how Oklahoma could be number 2 in the West. I'm going to say the Rockets are better than Houston. I mean, sorry, the Rockets are better than Oklahoma. I still think. I know you added Paul George and Melo, and that's a hell of an addition to OKC. But Chris Paul is a big addition to Houston. Houston, they still have a very good team. So I'm going to take Houston at 3, and I'm going to say OKC at 4.
You wait. Who do you have at 2?
2 of San Antonio.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So you have Houston.
You have San Antonio at 4. You're saying a team that won over 60 games last year is going to fall off that much?
Yeah, I think they got worse.
Why do you think they got worse?
I think Aldridge is secretly way past his prime.
I don't think it's secret.
Parker's done. They lost a couple bench pieces, and they didn't really add anybody too good.
Well, that's what you think. But whoever they added, they probably added some some European guy you've never heard of who will be in the Hall of Fame soon.
Right, but I think the Thunder and the Rockets got much better. So you have the Thunder at 4?
I had Thunder at 4.
Okay. So
I'm still going to stand by that. So number 5 is where it gets tricky.
Yeah, I had the Spurs at 4. 5, I have a shocker pick.
You're going to take Minnesota, huh?
I am.
Wow. Tommy Tibbs gets it done.
Yeah.
They gave big money. By the way, we forgot to mention Westbrook is signed to be in OKC for the next 5 years. He signed a huge extension.
Yep.
The highest paid player in the NBA. And Minnesota got a huge extension with what's his name?
Wiggins.
Wiggins got a huge extension, whether he deserves it or not. They've got a good team. You got Wiggins, you got Towns, obviously you got Jimmy Butler.
Teague.
You got Teague. Teague was a huge addition, I feel like. You needed a veteran presence. Though I guess the big thing with him versus Rubio is that he's more of an offensive threat than Rubio, and that can make a difference.
And they added Taj Gibson too, right?
Yeah, Todd Gibson's a pretty good, solid guy off the bench. They play some good defense. They've got an interesting team. Am I going to take? They got Jamal Crawford also, who's a solid guy off the bench.
Yeah.
Who else would I take above them? I mean, Dallas is not going to be that great. Clippers. The question is, Clippers. The Clippers going to still be good without Chris Paul.
Well, they had a Gallinari and a European point guard who's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Clippers at 5. I feel like that'd be. I feel like the Clippers are still. Also, when Chris Paul did not play, and I know I gave credit to Houston for getting Chris Paul, but when Chris Paul did not play for Clippers, they usually did not miss that much of a beat. They still were very good without Chris Paul. They still got DeAndre. You still got Blake Griffin, who supposedly will be healthy. I'm taking them at 5.
Okay. 6, I am going Denver Nuggets.
Ooh, I kind of like that actually. I'm going to say Portland at 6, but I like the Denver pick. Portland's very good still. You got 2 of the best guards in the league.
Yeah.
They got Nurkic. Yes, they got Nurkic. They got a lot of offense in that team.
I'm going Clippers at 7.
Okay. 7. I'm going to take the Nuggets. I like the Nuggets there. I think the Nuggets are a good and upcoming team.
You see what's happening here. There's going to be a good team that's not even in the playoffs.
Oh, yes. That's why everyone says they should combine both conferences into one big giant conference, which gets boring.
Yeah.
You might as well be college basketball at that point.
I think they should just do it geographically, which would move Memphis and the Pelicans over to the East.
I think a better way to do it was take the worst team in each division and put them in the Knicks division, and that way the Knicks would actually be in first place.
So my last playoff spot, I got the Jazz.
Really, without Hayward, huh?
Yeah.
I do like Minnesota there. I do think Minnesota has enough to make the playoffs with Jimmy Butler, so I'm going to take them. I think the Jazz are going to miss the playoffs without Gordon Hayward.
That's
I'm
fair.
going to take the Jazz at 9.
I mean, they got Rubio though.
Yeah, no, I know. That's big. They're still a good team, but good teams. There's going to be good teams that don't make the playoffs here.
Yep. Speaking of which, I have the Grizzlies at 9.
Yeah, I think the Grizzlies at 10. Grizzlies, they're just falling apart.
Isn't it crazy that they have Conley and Gasol and they're not going to make the playoffs?
There's no way Gasol plays the whole season. And maybe not Conley. I think they're also. Gasol gets injured a lot now these days, and Conley's also gets injured a lot these days.
Yeah, they lost a lot of their role players. I'm actually going Portland at 10.
Portland at 10 is interesting. I'm going to take at 11. I'm going to take a surprise team, Sacramento.
That's who I have at 11 too.
Well, that's not that big of a surprise now, is it?
I mean, they have a lot of good young guys, and they got a lot of good vets. It's
including Zach Randolph.
Zach Randolph and Vince Carter.
Yeah, I think they're going to be decent. Fox supposedly going to be pretty good. Buddy Hield's supposed to be good.
Yeah.
I think I kind of like. I can't say I like what Sacramento's doing. You know what's crazy about this? At 12, I have to have the team that has both Anthony Davis and
Cousins
on the same team, and I can't get them higher than 12.
Well, I don't even have them at 12. I have
and they brought back Holiday.
Right. Yeah, I have the Phoenix Suns at 12.
Really?
Yeah.
They don't have a lot going for them. I mean, they got Devin Booker, who's good. I mean, they got some good young players, yes. And they drafted what's his name? I know no one's name. Everyone's what's his name. I'm like retarded. I do the same thing in my regular life also. I'm like Zach's friend, my son's friend. What's his name? And he has teachers. What's his name? And I have a mental block when it comes to remembering names and faces.
Yeah, I feel less confident about that Phoenix pick than probably any other pick I've done today. But
I mean, I can't say they're going to be far behind. 13. So who do I have left? I have Portland. I have Phoenix left. I have
Phoenix, Dallas, and Lakers.
Yeah. Phoenix, Dallas, Lakers. I'm going to say Lakers because I do think Ball will be pretty good. Actually, no. I mean, yeah, you're right. Phoenix picks is not bad. I'll take Phoenix there. You're right.
Yeah.
Then Lakers, Dallas.
Oh man, it'd be such a shame to see Dirk play one of his last seasons in 14th place, in 15th place.
You know what's crazy also? Is LeBron James really going to go to the Lakers after they're one of the worst teams in the West?
Well, if LeBron says he wants to go there, they'll get the number 1 pick.
That is true. That is almost a guarantee. But assuming they don't get the number 1 pick, what do you have in the Lakers that makes you so appealing to LeBron James? Unless they surprise everyone in their playoff team.
Well, maybe Ingram turns out to be as good as he was hyped when they drafted him.
But let's say you clear a bunch of cap space. Who are you going to bring in? Like you're going to add like Chris Paul to that team and LeBron, and then they're going to go to the finals. And the West is so much more competitive. Why would LeBron James, who has a red carpet, like he has the red carpet laid out for him to going to the finals in the East? No offense, Celtics fans. It's so competitive in the West, and he'd go to this team this bad.
I think the amount of money he can make by being based in L.A. is pretty significant.
Really? Like how much? He already makes a crazy amount of money.
Yeah, I know. He wants
Gets
to make
like
all the
$30
money.
million a year from the NBA. Gets probably $100 to $200 million in endorsements.
He
Probably
said-
at least $100 million in endorsements.
He said he wanted to be the first billionaire athlete.
I mean, he's probably just on the way to doing that. Like, does he think like he's going to go to LA and suddenly he's going to be in like movie after movie?
Well, Jordan beat him already, so.
Yeah.
I have Mavericks at 13, Pelicans at 14, and the Lakers at 15.
I mean, this roster's really. Who do you have at 15? Lakers, right? This roster's pretty freaking horrible.
Yeah, it's not good.
Ingram, who has not made the cross, he's not made the jump to being decent. Jordan Clarkson's decent. You got Pope, who's going to be gone next year anyway.
Yeah.
You got Ball. I mean, the rosters. That's it. The
Yeah.
roster's just a bunch of guys that like aren't very good.
Yeah.
You're
I
not
mean-
like LeBron James is going to the Lakers to play with Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma.
I mean, I guess he's
Brook
thinking
Lopez.
Ball, Ingram, and Randall all take huge jumps.
Oh, I forgot about Randall. But yeah, I don't think he's going to the Lakers. Whatever you're saying, I think he's going to look at the situation and go, "This is idiotic."
Right.
Like, if anything, he'll probably just stay in Cleveland. I don't know where else. Where else do you think? Not that we spend too much time on LeBron, but where do you think he'd go? He leaves. If he leaves the, let's say he decides I'm just going to leave. I want to leave Cleveland. What situation makes the most sense for him to go to?
Clippers. Chris Paul comes back, and then you have Griffin, Jordan, LeBron, and Paul.
Houston, maybe. They keep Chris Paul stays. You play with him, and
Is that even possible, though?
I mean,
If they keep
it's
Chris
not.
Paul with Paul and Harden, I don't even know if they could do that.
I guess there's not that's the other problem is who's who's good that's gonna be able to absorb his salary.
Yeah. It's
Um,
hard to keep it, $25, $30 million open just in case LeBron wants to come over there.
like Denver, and I guess I'm not looking at their salary cap, but they have a bunch of good young players. But like, you add LeBron, the problem is all these teams. You add LeBron to the team, you're not necessarily beating Golden State. You're not necessarily going to the finals
Right.
unless he joins basically OKC or Houston or the Spurs. Basically, he's not going to the finals.
Yeah.
He's not. He's gonna have a tough time getting past Golden State.
Yeah, Golden State's just in ridiculous mode for the next 5 years.
Without injury, they're in ridiculous mode. So you might as well just play them in the and of course, why would you not want to play them? If you're gonna add to your legacy, no one's legacy is built by going to the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
I mean, he has a chance to go what is it? How many years in a row has he been to the finals? The Eastern Conference Finals, or the NBA Finals? How many years he's been to the NBA Finals now?
7?
He went there once with Cleveland the first time, 4 with Miami. That's 5, and then he's been there now. The last.
I think the Cleveland Finals, and then there was
one in Cleveland the first time.
yeah, but I think there was a break. If you're talking consecutive.
Oh no, I'm just talking about total.
Oh yeah, 8.
8. So 8 total and 7 consecutive.
Yeah.
And he could probably go back. He could probably go back realistically. The next 3. Let's say he goes back the next 3 years, and goes to the NBA Finals 10 freaking times, or 11 times, 10 consecutive. That'd be insane.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to questions.
Okay.
God, I wish we were with the Knicks like this. Wow, the Knicks could go with the. And why can't the Knicks go to the NBA Finals? Why can't that be our big problem? LeBron, I am challenging you. If you're add to your legacy, get the Knicks to the finals.
Our website is thenewyorknickspodcast.com. You could pick up some Knicks podcast t-shirts there, and you could check out the newest article up there by Declan. Thank you, Declan.
Yes. Oh, by the way, there was a rumor that Phil was all in on trading for Ryan Anderson.
Well,
And that
really-
supposedly, I don't know all the details, but he was all in at some point in trading for Ryan Anderson. He was fine to trade Melo for Ryan Anderson.
Well, again, it's a good thing he got fired.
Also, where are they now? Melo's playing in Oklahoma, but nothing else. And Lance Thomas was very saddened to see his teammate Melo go. And I'd like to say from all Knicks fans, we're saddened to see that Lance Thomas is still here.
Kevin writes, it looks like KP and Melo will both play the 4 opening night against each other, a duel between the past and future. Who will have a better night? Who will have a better night?
KP, because Melo will not be guarding him all night. Even if he's supposed to.
Yeah, I think KP too, just because somebody on the Knicks has to score. Whereas,
somebody has to score.
Westbrook and George are probably going to get close to 20 each, so the odds of KP having a better night are better.
Yeah, I would say that, yes. He's going to have more... Yes, Melo's going to have to share the ball, and that's going to be confusing for Melo.
By the way, Melo, who complained for 5 straight years on the Knicks about playing the 4, now says he's totally cool playing the 4. Not a problem at all.
I've seen 2 views in this. One view has been that, well, the Oklahoma is so talented that it makes sense for him to play a 4, which is absurd because, like, that's true, but it also, the Knicks would have been just better if he played the 4. So why would you not do it here when why would you just not want to play on better teams?
Right. He was just being a pain in the ass.
And the other theory, which I like better, is that, okay, that Melo just says the right things now, wait to see the headache he causes in a few weeks.
Hopefully that's the case.
I like that theory much better.
But, I mean, no matter what he says or does, there's going to be a bunch of Melo-sexuals who defend what he does.
Yeah, I don't want to spend that much time. I mean, we're going to talk about Melo this season because it's impossible not to talk about Melo this season. But, like, he's going to be pretty good in OKC. The Knicks are better off having moved on. And we should all just move on, basically.
Yeah. That is it for emails. We had a light week for emails.
Do you doing Twitter or am I doing Twitter?
You can do Twitter.
Okay. We got some Twitter questions. I went to Twitter and Twitter replied. Jorge writes, percentage-wise, do you think we will have a better preseason record than regular season record?
No, I think we'll have a better regular season record because preseason we're going to be messing around with different lineups and experimenting a lot.
Well, there's only 4 preseason games. We win 2 preseason games, it'd be tough for us to beat that. And if we lose 3 preseason games, it'd be tough for us not to be better than that.
Yeah.
So, I don't really know, actually, from this. I think, don't they play the Nets twice also?
Yeah, but like I said, who knows if they're going to be starting, like, Dodson, McDermott, and O'Quinn. Like, we don't know. Okay,
I think the Knicks are 1-3 in preseason, and I think the Knicks are going to have a better record than a 25% win percentage.
Sounds good.
LJ Sampson writes, who should we cut? Who should we start? Who's our defensive coach? So who should we cut?
Well, that's the other big news. Rambis is not defensive coach now.
Now, everyone is defensive coach, is apparently the way it goes, right? Yeah. Everyone's responsible for defense. You can ask anyone because everyone's responsibility, not just Rambis, basically, right?
Right. I just don't know why Rambis is even in the building.
Okay, so you know what's great? If you want to figure out who you can cut on the Knicks, who's going to get cut, if you go to NBA.com and pick the Knicks, there are some players that don't get pictures. That's because the NBA doesn't think it's even important to put their pictures up because they're immediately getting cut. So Jamel Hartis, Nigel Hayes, Luke Corn. Luke Corn is going to be in the D League. Xavier Nathan Mays. All of you have no names. You will not be playing on the Knicks opening day.
I think that's safe to say.
How many guys do you have to have for opening day? 15?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me go quick count here. We are...
I think there's
17, so we have 2 more players to cut.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, once you cut out the guys that don't have pictures.
Oh. I thought you meant including them. We only had 17. I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
No. Once you got the guys without pictures, it gets a lot easier. Wait, let me check my math on this again real quick. 4 plus 5, 9, plus 5 is 14, plus 2 is 16. Oh, you have to cut 1 guy. So who gets cut, dude? I'm going to start naming names. You say yes or no.
Okay.
Ron Baker. Can't cut him. Got a big contract.
Yep.
Michael Beasley. Probably not getting cut.
Nope.
Damian Dotson. I'd say probably not getting cut, right?
I would hope not.
Tim Hardaway. Probably getting cut.
Yeah.
Hernan Gomez. Not getting cut. Jared Jack.
he might.
Hasn't
yeah.
been in the NBA for a while, but he was good when he was last. He was good when he was last year, like 2 years ago, whatever. Enes Kanter probably not getting cut. Mindy Kuz. That's a tough one there. Courtney Lee not getting cut. Doug McDermott not getting cut. Oh, you know what? They don't have to cut anyone. Not for the first 10 days because Joakim Noah is suspended, so I don't think he counts to the total, right?
Yeah, but I mean, 10 games later, they're gonna have to cut somebody.
Do you think they're gonna make any moves? Any trades?
I can't picture them making any more trades now.
Then it's Ntilikina, Kylo Quinn, Porzingis, Sessions, Lance Thomas. There really isn't there's no obvious guys getting cut besides Jack has to look pretty good because he's playing for a job right now. I'd say Jack, and I think Kuz. I'm going to go so far as saying Kuz is playing for a job here because I feel like he wasn't that great in his rookie year. He's 27 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe he might be older than 27. He is, according to this, 27. He's 27. He doesn't show a lot of potential on either side. Like, I don't think he's that great. I could see him getting cut on this team. I could see the team saying, it's more important to us to have another veteran point guard, and we'll cut Kuz, which sounds, I think people are going to say that's heresy. The Knicks aren't cutting, they're not stretching Joakim Noah, and they're not cutting him probably.
So that means it's either going to be Kuz or Dodson for that last spot.
I'd like to see them keep Dotson. I think it'd be a really dumb decision to get rid of Dotson.
Yeah, no, I agree, but this is the Knicks we're talking about. So
I don't see them cutting Dotson. You just drafted the guy.
Jack and Kuz. That'll be interesting.
You have too many centers, but you think there's a chance they'll swap Cock for like a second round pick?
It's possible.
Maybe a late first rounder.
I wouldn't mind seeing him and Thomas go.
Yeah, Thomas plays some defense.
Great.
More questions. Are you gonna have to apologize to Lance Thomas next show?
I'm never apologizing to him again.
Jorge writes, "Does this season matter? Hashtag Knicks fans since Melo."
All seasons matter.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks can kind of move forward. Like I don't know. I mean, like as good as you like, and Melo's a very good player. How much you like Melo, you can separate that from liking the Knicks. You could root for Melo in OKC and root for the Knicks. No one thinks that Melo on the Knicks meant the Knicks were going to go to the NBA Finals anymore.
Right.
It's not. Okay, Jorge writes, "Can you guys start an OKC podcast? I don't want to listen to other people."
Yeah, I didn't realize how many people follow players instead of teams until I saw what happened to our numbers after Lynn left the Knicks.
Yeah, well, that was a phenomenon. People do though, more so than ever. People follow players, and I also think that the thing about like you live in New York, you root for the Knicks. You live in LA, you root for the Lakers. I feel like that's less and less with the younger generation. I think the younger generation definitely follows players more and just roots for whoever they like. Like you live in New York and your kid goes to a school in New York, his friends will be Golden State fans, Cleveland fans. They'll be fans of whoever the teams are. They're good.
I mean, I guess it makes sense considering there's no loyalty on the team's part. I mean, you saw what Boston did to Isaiah Thomas. Like, there's no loyalty going that way, so why should people have loyalty going in the opposite direction?
Yeah. MH writes, "Is Frank starting?"
Why are we doing the Knicks podcast then?
What's up?
If it's so easy to switch, why are we doing the Knicks podcast?
Because we're freaking morons. MH writes, "Is Frank starting since Baker got injured?"
I still think Sessions starts.
Yeah, I think Sessions makes. The thing is, if Sessions, so they may also look at the. If Sessions looks pretty good, and Jack, I feel like has to look pretty good to make this roster because they might say like Sessions and Jack kind of like they're redundant.
Yeah.
You want one veteran point guard basically. You don't necessarily need two guys. We're not trying to make the playoffs here.
Yeah.
In theory. GGG writes, "Marc and Jay, how enthused are you for Knicks basketball to be back on October 2nd? Am I wrong about this? Is it October 2nd?
I thought it was
gonna have to look up the Knicks. I thought they were playing.
See, you're calling me out for.
No, it says here. I'm looking online. Nets Knicks Tuesday, October 3rd. They got Knicks, then they got the Nets, then they got the Sixth. They play on the Friday. They play the Wizards. So we'll have a lot to talk about next show. And actually, during next show, if we do it Sunday night, the Knicks will be playing the Nets. And then the Rockets play the Knicks in the last preseason game.
So yeah, I'm super excited that it starts 2 weeks early. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited too. Braden writes, can KP carry this team to a playoff spot?
I mean, the East is so bad this year. It's possible.
Who are they going to take out? Who are you taking out from there? I still don't think it's that bad. Where the Knicks it's a lot. Like the Knicks getting to like 8 or not, like 9 or 10 is much easier than getting to like 8.
I mean, you had the Sixers in there. They could easily just all be injured again, and then there's your spot.
It's true. That's not a bad point.
And I have the Hornets
I don't
in
think.
there, do I have that much faith in a Dwight Howard, like almost nobody else team?
Well, here's the thing. Even if KP is putting up really good numbers, he's going to need a lot of help. So you need guys like Tim. Basically, he's not going to be carrying the team. There's going to be a lot of other guys that have to be really good to make this work to get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Braden writes, expectations from Timmy this season.
18, 5-3.
That sounds reasonable. Shooting percentage. That's, I think, an important thing. From 2, I'm hoping like 47%. From 3, 37%.
If he can do all that, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, I think we'd be pretty damn happy. GGG writes, do you hate Trump even more, finding out that he has held KP's brother from returning to the U.S. via visa screw-up? I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about that.
Oh, wow. But the answer is yes, probably. GGG writes, who will make the playoffs between the Knicks, Jets, and Giants? For those that don't know, don't follow football, the New York Jets were supposed to be tanking, and they're now 2-2. The Giants were supposed to go to the playoffs and maybe even go to the Super Bowl. They're 0-4.
0-4. Oh.
They lost again. They're supposed to be tanking. It's driving me crazy. Of these teams, the Giants could turn in.
The Knicks probably have the best chance.
The Giants still probably have the best chance because they have the best team.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jets can't get to the playoffs. That'd be absurd. Actually, the Giants still. You're going to say the Knicks, or are you going to say?
Yeah.
The waiver wire writes, is Beasley averaging 20 or 30 points a game? 40. He's averaging 40 points a game. What's Beasley going to do?
Beasley's going to have a good season.
You really think so?
I do.
I think he's going to average maybe 11 points a game.
I think he's going to average about 15.
Nah, I think he's going to have for every game where he's going to put up 20 points, there'll be a game where he puts up 3. He's going to be Mr. Disappearing Act all the time. He's going to either play really well or just be garbage. And you're going to be like, what happened? There was Beasley injured, and you'd be like, no, he played 15 minutes and he was garbage on defense, and his offense was sucked. They just pulled him.
That's also possible.
I think it's going to happen a lot. But he'll have some games where he puts up, just like Derek Williams did, put up 20 points every once in a while. He'll do that too. He's a solid offensive player. It's unspeakable how bad this defense could be on this team. I think the team could have a monster offense and be horrible. They could be top 10 in offense and be the worst team in basketball and defense.
Yeah, they could be the Golden State Warriors of bad defense.
I mean, where do you think their offense is going to be? If you're going to put them in the top in the 30, where do you think they're realistically going to end up? I think they're a top 15. They're a top half offense, I feel like. And this is also saying that if we just lost Melo, and I'm really thinking that they're a top half offense, which means I'm very optimistic about this team, but I feel like they have a lot of good offensive players.
I think they're
solid.
I think they're middle of the league in offense.
I'm going to say they're 5th. Yeah, I'll say they're 14th in offense, and I'll say defense they are 28th.
Yeah, they're really bad on defense.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong about defense. Braden writes, should Beasley start over Dougie McBuckets?
Yes.
I like the idea of starting Courtney Lee at some combination of Tim Hardaway and Courtney Lee and going a small lineup. But yeah, I don't know. McBuckets stretches the floor much more so than Beasley. Wouldn't Beasley be a better guy off the bench?
I don't know yet.
Braden writes, now that Phil is gone, do you think New York is a destination for big-name free agents? Bearing in mind we have no money to sign anyone.
I think it's a better chance.
If Frenchie turns out to be a good player, then yes.
Yeah.
I think you need two solid pieces, basically, and you need to be heading. The trajectory has to be up, basically.
I think if
People
they
have
can go this whole season without being a complete embarrassment, even if they have a bad record, just not be an embarrassment, then yes.
I think if KP takes the jump to the next level, then yes. I think it comes about how much someone has to think like, hey, this team is a real shot. Osiris 809 writes, assume Dotson and Lee are as good as each other. Assume Noah and Cock. Shouldn't we sit Noah and Lee for the youth movement?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's the argument would be the same thing with Sessions. Like, shouldn't Sessions sit in the favor of Frenchie?
But that's like full tank mode.
Well, I don't know if it's in tank mode. I get the idea of youth. Like, let's play the young players. If they end up being good, great. If they end up being bad, fine. But like, what's the point of playing the veterans?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, if you're assuming they're equal talent level, then yeah, you play the young guys.
I mean, there's some way of saying like there's some thought that like sprinkling the veterans, letting them play, will help make the young guys better.
And yes, we should sit Noah no matter what.
I feel like you're gonna give Noah another chance.
I don't.
I think they're gonna give Noah a chance.
I know they're going to.
They're paying him $17 million a year. He gets another chance. He doesn't get 17 million chances, but he definitely gets another chance. And he was at some point, in memory of some people still, he was a very good NBA player. And I think in some ways also you kind of like, in theory, he could be a good coach in the locker. Like he could be a guy that like provides a lot of things that are very helpful for the younger players. Like from the intangible standpoint, you see his effort and they'll want to equal his effort if he doesn't have the abilities anymore. Like guys have to learn from that. To a certain extent, guys, it does help to learn from veterans, right?
Yeah.
So you need reasonable veterans to learn from. I mean, if you said, hey, Noah's going to be the defensive coach going forward, would you be happy about that? If you said Noah's going to be our defensive coach, like,
yeah,
you wouldn't be upset about that. You would say like he knows a lot about defense.
I'd much rather that than him being a defensive player on the team right now.
Osiris 809 says, so let's stretch both of them. Well, I think Courtney Lee has trade value. Unquestionably, you can get a late first rounder, I think, for him. If not, probably late first rounder for him.
Yeah, and I can't stomach the idea of paying Noah for like another 5 or 7 years.
And Courtney Lee also is not a bad player anymore. He's not like a great player, but he's solid. He had a solid season for the Knicks last year. Do you think he was bad?
No, if you want to move Lee, you definitely can.
I would like I feel like I like the idea of like the youth movement, but to a certain extent, I think there's sprinkling some veterans is not a bad idea. You have a pretty young roster overall. Osias Santos writes, do you think the defense will be better this season? On the one hand, we got rid of Melo.
And Rambis.
And we traded him for... And what?
And Rambis.
Rambis is still there, though. He's still a coach of the team.
Yeah, but he's not like the defensive coach.
They said, basically, Rambis went to the Hornacek and said, do you still want me here? And Hornacek said yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm paraphrasing what happened, but basically that they said it was reported by some Knicks beat reporter that basically happened.
Well, maybe Hornacek was just being polite. like when your girlfriend says, you know, do you want to go hang out with your wife? Do you want to go to my friend's 1-year-old's birthday party this weekend? And you're like, yeah, sure, but that's the last thing you want to do.
Now we know how Jay spent his weekend. They're still going to be pretty bad at defense. They were horrible last year in defense. I don't see them being better or worse. I think it's about the same.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to cover for Melo's mistakes anymore. Or not Melo. You don't have to cover for Melo and Derrick Rose not trying on defense.
True.
In some ways, you feel like they'd be a little bit better than last year.
Yeah.
It'd be hard not to be a little bit better than last year. Okay. MJ, last question on Twitter. MJ Bond writes, 1. Will French Frank be the best Knicks defender this year?
I think Porzingis is going to be.
Yeah, I was going to go with Porzingis, but I think Frenchie will be pretty good too. 2. Why doesn't Mike Breen refer to Quinn's defensive stops as cock blocks?
If he did, I'd be so happy.
It would be amazing. And we have a couple questions on Facebook, and we're done here. Sasha writes, will Ntilikina or Sessions start?
Sessions.
We have a better question for you, Jay. How many games this season will Ntilikina be a starting point guard? Like, at what point will he become the starting point guard?
After All-Star break.
I say January. Anthony writes, if you were the GM, what would be your 3-year plan, Jay?
3-year plan would be probably. I feel like we're on a good trajectory now. I mean, I would probably try and maximize the youth movement, aka tank.
Yeah, I would be very open to like a guy like Hornady, the veterans, trading them a little bit later in the season when maybe they've developed some value, or the young guys have like started like playing a little better, where you feel like I need to get more playing time for the young guys.
Yeah.
I don't expect much from Dotson. You expect much from Dotson?
No, but it's a worthwhile gamble, I think.
Oh no, I think he's a guy you want to develop. I just feel like I'd be really shocked if he's like as good as Courtney Lee when he comes to the league.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a guy that like. I mean, most guys take a few years to develop, and I feel like he's a guy that like hopefully will develop in a few years. I don't expect much at all from him this year. Yeah, maximize, just keep going with the youth movement. Basically, I like what they're doing generally. My 3-year plan would involve also, well, I guess Timmy. Either in 3 years you will know whether you want Timmy still on the roster. Noah will be gone in 3 years. I guess part of the 3-year plan would also be, at the end of 3 years, maybe bring in like a couple of maybe 1 or 2 like decent free agents to like help round out the roster,
right?
Or one big name free agent to like really add to the KP. Alan writes, "Did you watch the open scrimmage today? Frank looked really good. Did you watch it?"
I saw a few clips.
Same. Alan writes, "I think the Knicks will be good offensively this season, terrible on defense. That seems like the prevailing wisdom." Nick writes, "Share your thoughts on the new draft rules. I don't think it will end tanking. I just think instead of going for the worst record teams, teams will go for the bottom 3 record." So what they did was they flattened the odds and basically said it used to be staggered. Basically, like the worst team got what was like 18%, whatever percentage was. It was like based on where you were. The worst team, second worst, got second best odds. Third team got third best odds. And now the bottom 3 teams have these same odds. They're all at 14% basically to get the top pick.
Yeah, they kind of half-assed the whole no tanking thing.
Yeah, it doesn't start next year. It starts the year after.
I think they could have went a little harder on that. I mean, glad they changed it a little bit, but
what would you do, Jay?
I would have made just like 3 different brackets for the draft pick. So you had like the bottom 5 all have like 8%. The next 5 have 7%, and the next 4 have 6%. I think something like that. The math works out. So everyone has almost the same chance.
I almost feel like the more I've been thinking about it, it might be just better to have everyone that doesn't make the playoffs have the exact same percentage. Because, I mean, the thing is, the chances of any team that doesn't make the playoffs making a huge jump is pretty low anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's such like one player makes such a difference on a team. It'd be kind of cool if the team that was like, if you were like the 16th best team in the NBA, or I guess the 16th, the 20th best team in the NBA, and you got a really good player and suddenly you're competing for the title also. I don't know. The tanking thing is kind of annoying, basically.
Yeah.
It sucks that like I only want to tank because the system makes you want the tank. But if the system was just like everyone's the same odds, then like you fight for the playoffs, you don't make the playoffs, fine.
I think their fear is that teams will try and not make the playoffs.
Not make the 8th seed, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I'd rather that than like literally 5 teams go into the season trying to lose. Like that happens every season. There's like 5 teams that are actively trying to suck. It's stupid.
Yeah. There's got to be a better way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tanking thing is really it's kind of annoying. Also, like at the end of the season, you almost want, like if the Knicks, like last year, at the end of the last year, you kind of wanted the Knicks to tank because you knew it meant a higher draft pick. It would have been just nice if it could have been like I can watch. I know the Knicks are out of it. The games are meaningless, but I can still just root for the team because I know that like winning wouldn't matter anymore. It wouldn't hurt the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would switch that. What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that season's right around the corner, and we're feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I am the most excited about basketball than any other sport right now. Mostly because my Jets are horrible. My Mets just finished one of the worst years the Mets have had in so long. It was maybe the worst Mets season because of my expectations. It was the worst Mets season I've had since 1992.
Great.
I don't know. I'm excited about the Knicks. From 1 to 10, how excited are you, Jay?
8.5.
Yeah. And off season, give me a letter grade for the off season. Now the off season, it's done. We know what the Knicks did this off season. What do you think? And the off season includes everything from getting rid of Phil to Melo to signing Timmy to drafting Ntilikina. What do you think?
6.
Okay, that's not a letter grade, but
I'm tired.
Fine.
C+.
Yeah, fine, whatever. Okay, you can play the music, Jay. You're throwing the towel there. Go for it.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Join Patreon. $1 a month. Help out the show.
$1 a month, and you could make for a cost of a cup of coffee, you could help Jay do podcasts.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
My love.